I am Bonneau Ansley, an active real estate agent and founder of Ansley Real Estate, Christie's International, an award-winning Atlanta-based real estate brokerage that did over $3 billion in sales last year.
And I'm Chris Tuff, one of the first advertisers to work directly with Mark Zuckerberg in 2006. I've since gone on to be the best-selling author of The Millennial Whisperer and Save Your Asks.
And this is Brokering Billions. This podcast is about uncovering the hustle, perseverance, mindset, and tricks that are used by the top real estate agents in the country to help you take your business to the next level. In today's episode, guys, we've got Glennda Baker. Glenda's out of my market in Atlanta, Georgia, and I saw her at a round table, and I said, Glenda's got to work for our firm.
Yeah, Glennda is the #1 real estate agent on TikTok. And you might ask yourself, is TikTok actually going to sell any houses? Well, guess what? It does. And you're going to learn a ton from how Glennda approaches digital marketing differently. Buckle up because this is going to be good.
Oh my God, y'all. Wow, we got a big one today. I'm Bonneau Ansley.
And I'm Chris Tuff.
We're sitting here in the Atlanta headquarters, Ansley Real Estate, Christie's International. Guys, today we've got Glennda Baker.
So, for those listeners that don't know who Glennda is, we're talking about the #1 real estate agent on TikTok, which I haven't looked forward to an interview this much in a long time, Bonneau.
Right now, I just checked this morning, 825,000 followers on TikTok.
If you say so.
13 million likes. I mean, you must be saying some great stuff. I mean, you are revolutionizing the way that real estate agents are getting out there and having a message and having something to say and showing real estate. It's unbelievable. Guys, a quick side note, Glennda joined my company, Ansley Real Estate, about 2 years ago. She was on a panel. Where was that, Glennda?
At the Atlanta Realtors Association Showcase.
But she was so good on the panel. After the panel, I just went up to her and I said, geez, you should be with us. Come to Ansley. We started talking. Next thing you know, she came to Ansley. And then what happened, Glennda?
My star popped off.
So take us from the top, Glennda. How long have you been in real estate? How did you get in? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
So sit down. On Sunday, I will have been in real estate 30 years.
Wow.
I designed and manufactured ladies' clothing here in Atlanta. And I didn't really like that business. And I told my mom one day I didn't like it. And she goes, why don't you go be a real estate agent? And I went to class and was getting my license, and I needed a regular paycheck. So I interviewed to be an assistant with some top producer ladies. I mean, these ladies were relo soldiers. I mean, they were Remax, and they were just hardcore. And I sat down and we're going through the interview. We're 5 minutes in and they're like, you can leave now. I'm like, excuse me? You're way too bubbly. We would never hire you. And I was like, oh my gosh. And then I interviewed with Lucy Braden and Irene Bagatis, and they called me and said, we love you. We are definitely not hiring you. And I'm like, oh, my stars, why? They're like, you're not going to be an assistant for long. You're going to be an agent. And so I walked down the street to this huge real estate office and told the broker, I've got 5 listings. People want to list their house with me. I don't have any place to put my license. Will you hire me? And she's like, yeah. So that was how I became a real estate agent.
Glennda, what's so funny is that when we relocated here from Boston, Irene Bagatis in 1993 was our real estate agent that sold us our house off of Valley Road. So yeah.
I interviewed with her in 1992.
So yeah, I guess you were on the team when we bought the house. That's amazing. So take us through. So let's fill in the gap. So you get into real estate, right? You're with an amazing team, and then
you're an individual agent.
I was an individual agent.
Individual
agent
hired me. Yeah. I love it. So take us through kind of that growth and
how did you learn? I mean, so you had these 5 listings that you kind of had in your pocket. You went in, you got the job. And then how did you know how to service them? How did you know there wasn't cell phones 30 years ago? Were there?
No,
How'd you get business done?
Yeah.
it was funny because I remember I went into the real estate Taj Mahal. I was there at 9 o'clock because in my head, if you were working, you started at 9 o'clock, and it was me and the office manager. That was it. And I said, "Where is everybody?" And she goes, "Oh, it's real estate. They don't come in till about 11. They'll start rolling in." I'm like, "I don't have to be here at 9 o'clock." She's like, "Oh no, you can come and go as you please." I'm like, "That's so weird." And so I just kind of surveyed the office for the first 2 weeks until my license arrived, because I couldn't do business, and kind of figured out like who were the movers and shakers in the office. And there was this girl, Murray Park. She was the #1 agent in that office. And I went to the broker and I said, "Hey, can I move my cubicle?" She goes, "Sure. Why?" And I said, "Well, I just think I'd do better over here in this other cubicle." I moved my cubicle to the closest seat to that girl's office. And I listened to her talk on the phone. When she needed a copy, I magically appeared. When she needed signs delivered, when she wanted somebody to hold an open house, I was basically her gopher. And I sat there and listened to everything she said. Anytime she needed a copy, I'd make 6 copies. I'd give her 25. I'd keep one. And I just watched her. I mean, there was no reason to reinvent the wheel. She was the #1 agent. That's what I wanted to be. So I watched her and copied what she did. And I started September the 4th. And by December, I was agent of the month.
Obviously, we've got to fill in the blanks a little bit. Like it's kind of phenomenal what you've been able to achieve. Like you talk about
in such a short amount of time.
Right.
I mean, this has happened since she joined our company, and she just has gone to the moon. And she's also sold over $70 million worth of property last year.
It's unbelievable, Glennda. So I want to hear, how did this happen?
So, Chris, I love the gentle way that you put that. I work with TikTok directly, and they said to me, "You are very intriguing to us because you don't do anything on video." So they're like, "You don't really do anything, and you have the stickiest audience. Once somebody follows you, they do not unfollow. And you have the highest engagement of any person in your demographic in your field." And I thought, wow, that's so interesting. At 344,000 views a day across my video catalog. So that's almost 2.5 million views a week. And I think that the reason that people are attracted to me, #1, is because I'm just myself. And #2, because they know they're going to get the truth. And they're going to get to see behind the scenes. The style that I shoot video is a little bit different. I modeled it after Matthew Hussey. Again, I'm a big proponent of do not reinvent the wheel. Matthew Hussey was a dating coach, and I loved his style. I took in a lot of content, the way that he delivered it. And so I said, I could do real estate advice like that. And so originally it was called Sugar and Spice Real Estate Advice. I was going to post 2 videos a week, Tuesday and Thursday. I just needed to shoot 8 videos. And then, I started being able to shoot more and posting more. And I went from 122 followers to 3,000 to 10,000 to 50,000 to 100,000. And now, as you said, it's like 800,000 on TikTok, but it's 105,000 on Instagram.
Which, by the way, if people are waiting for TikTok to call them, good luck. We're talking about, I've worked in advertising since 2003. My specialty has been really emerging media and social media from the get-go, right? And one of the things that we always run up against is it's so hard to get any of these people on the phone, right? They only give the time of day to the top 1%. So, Glennda, I mean, that unto itself is pretty phenomenal.
Like, I thought it was a spam email. They had been emailing me for 6 months, and I didn't even respond to the email. I thought it was like some phishing scam. And I get this phone call, and this girl goes, "Hi, this is so-and-so from TikTok." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, hello." And she goes, No. While we're on the phone, I mean, she's like proving that she's from TikTok. She's like, "We've been trying to get in touch with you. We love your account." And again, I think it's the authenticity. I think it's the realness. I think that it's the relatability. I mean, and they said, just like you're a 55-year-old woman in Atlanta, Georgia, who wants to follow you. So while you guys are surprised, the Glendaratis are definitely not surprised.
So take us through those beginning stages. I think for a lot of agents out there listening, this seems so daunting, right? How long do I need to commit to? And where is it that I know that I'm finding that success, right? You did this in a pretty short period of time. I think a lot of agents start this and then they give up on it too early. Like, how do you manage that balance, Glennda?
Well, it's funny because I had actually reached out to Bonneau's videographer and told him what I wanted to do. And he was like, yeah, I could fit you in here or there, maybe, kind of, sort of. That's not really my thing. And I'm like, oh, okay. I reached out to this guy on Instagram. He had done a video for this other real estate agent. I'm like, if he's good enough for her, he's good enough for me. And I called him and I said, I want to shoot TikTok videos. And he goes, you can do that from your phone. And I'm like, yeah, but that's not an extension of my brand. So I was extremely intentional about what I wanted to do, number one. Number two, I made a financial commitment. I signed a 6-month contract with him. Come hell or high water, I was going to shoot the videos. He was going to come to my house 1 day a month. I was going to shoot 12 videos, 8 TikTok videos and 4 longer form videos called Real Estate from the Road. And so he shows up. I didn't vet him. I didn't do any research on him. He shows up with the lighting guy. We sit down. I tell him what I want to do. And he kind of tweaks it and everything. And we shoot 8 videos in the morning. And then the 4 videos we shoot in the afternoon are so bad, we never even air them. They're on the cutting room floor somewhere because I was trying to look directly at the camera. I was trying to be all serious about real estate and, give this great story, this great advice.
You weren't
and that
being
just
yourself.
wasn't me.
Yeah.
Well, in the afternoon, I was not being myself, and that was the problem. So Denver said, I told him I wanted to look off camera. And he's like, why do you want to do that? I said, this is how this guy, Matthew Hussey, does it. I want to do it like this. And so he put this chair over there, and I looked at the chair, and then I would look at him for approval. And he's like, okay, this is not working. So then he put the lighting guy in the chair. So it was just me and Sam talking. And it was like a magic moment. That's kind of how it started. And I could shoot 8 videos. Then the next time he came, he's like, okay, well, we're done with the 8 videos. And it was like 10:30. He goes, what do you want to do with the rest of the morning? And I'm like, let's just keep shooting. I pumped out 12. And then the next time was 20. And the next time was 21. And I think last time, maybe we have 57 or 60 videos from the last shoot.
Wow. And Glennda, was there one video like those first couple of months that was so good that got shared a ton? Like, do you remember that one video that kind of like took you to the stars?
So I was at the beach. It was Mother's Day week, 2021. And I posted this video, Once Upon a Time I Sold a Big Ass House. And I had on this green army jacket with black stars. And I posted it at like 8:30 because I was on Central Time. And I go to breakfast with a friend of mine. And Denver sends me a text message. The video you posted this morning has some legs on it. It's already got 200,000 views. And this is about 10. That was within the first hour and a half, 2 hours.
That's crazy.
I finish breakfast with my friend who runs a brokerage down at 30A. I'm like, yeah, my videographer says the video I posted today is doing really good. And at that time I had 30,000 followers. So I started in October. It's May. I've got 30,000 followers. I post this video. By 11 o'clock, it had 800,000 views. And I think now just on my own TikTok, it has 10.5 million views. But that one video alone, if you look at everywhere it's been shared across every platform, has over 120 million views.
Unbelievable.
What did you say, Glennda? Do you remember kind of what your...
I bet I know what it was. Oh my stars.
I made $137,000 when I sold this one house. Rather than buying a condo on Lenox Road that was $100,000, I went and bought a brand new Mercedes. I went on a shopping spree and bought new clothes. And today that townhouse on Lenox Road is worth $1 million. That car doesn't exist and those clothes don't fit. This is a cautionary tale.
I mean,
love
just
it.
real stuff.
I want to break it down a little bit, Glennda, into brass tactics for listeners. So if I'm an agent listening and I am trying to figure out what type of budget should I put in place to start with, what's a good range for agents listening?
I don't even think that you need a budget. I think everything that I do, I see agents from across the country do on their phones. So I don't want people not to do it because they don't have a budget or they don't have a predator filmmaker like me or Bonneau. I want people to know that they can do it from their phone. I started with Posts from the Porsche, which was a live series that I did in my car on Facebook. And that really kind of got some traction back in 2016, 17, 18. I moved that over into Instagram Lives in 2000, I guess whenever Zillow bought Showing Time, I did a live video, my first live video on Instagram. So whenever that was, I think it was 2019, I did my first Instagram Live. So you can do everything from your phone. But I will tell you, don't be as concerned about how much you're pumping out. Don't be as concerned about hiring somebody. I want people to be focused on the content. What would you tell your best friend? What would you tell your best client? What would you tell your therapist? Like, those are the things that people want to hear. For us, it's second nature, a termite letter. It's second nature, earnest money deposit. But to the general public, it's not.
Sure.
And I talked to a girl yesterday who's a first-time home buyer, and she said to me, she's like, Glennda, she goes, we've made 5 offers and we haven't gotten anything. She's working with another agent. And I said, well, tell me why you haven't gotten any of these other offers. And she goes, well, I don't know. I said, how is that possible? Hasn't the agent called the listing agent to follow up? She's like, I didn't even know that that was a thing that they would do. She doesn't know that he should have done that. So I'm in the car with Jewel. I'm like, text that to Denver right now. We're shooting a video about that. And so what the consumer doesn't know the business. They want to know the behind the scenes nuts and bolts of the business. They go to Zillow for real estate porn. If they're looking for like beautiful houses and they're all that shit, they're going somewhere else. They're coming to you for intel they can't get on the internet, period.
How much of your content, Glennda, is planned off the cuff, like the one that you just came up with, and is like more in like what many would call a content calendar, right? It's kind of planned out. These are the things.
There is no content calendar. There is no schedule. So literally, you remember, well, you're probably too young to remember this, but back in the olden days, there were these things called Post-it notes, and you would like put them all over your computer to remind you to do stuff. That was literally my head and my text messages to Denver. And so this summer, my intern said, Glennda, we could do a Google form and you could put all of your ideas. And I'm like, oh, that sounds too difficult. He's like, let me do it and set it up and you take a look at it. So no lie, on my phone, he put on the front page of my phone, he put a Google form, and it's literally, I don't know if you guys can see it. It's a Google form. Shit. Oh, there it is. And it says content idea. And so literally Jewel went in and she put in talk about multiple offers, why they didn't get the offer. That needs to be explained to the buyer. And what was the link or the reference, and what is the note, or what is like the sound bite that I want to talk about. Submit. 3 things. It goes straight into a Google sheet. Denver comes to my house. We open up the Google sheet and we go down the list. And he goes, okay, you said you want to talk about why somebody made multiple offers. They didn't get any. They don't know why. And I'm like, okay, just pull it out of my ass.
That's amazing.
Glennda, just like today, like I was going to send you over some questions that we were going to talk about. Like, please don't do that. Like, let's just do this off the cuff. This is the way that I roll, which was awesome.
A lot of people will go to me and ask me, hey, so Chris, one, I want a viral video, right? So, and how long should my video be? And one of the things I emphasize to them is like, listen, your video should be as long as it's worth someone's attention. All right. And in some cases, a lot of people will reference these short attention spans of like 2.4 seconds or whatever. It's like, wait, at the same time, they're binge watching Netflix for 7 hours, right? So what a great example of being worth people's time. Are you keeping everything short to kind of the TikTok? Like, talk a little bit about that.
So the average TikTok video is watched 9 seconds. 31% of people watch my video start to finish multiple times. The reason that they do that is I have a couple of different formats. Number one, I talk about advice, sugar and spice real estate advice. I give advice. You can't leave until I get to the end. It's advice, for God's sake. The other thing that I talk about is story time. I do a lot of story time. So last week I posted a video about this house that had failed to sell with 4 other real estate agents. I list it. This agent calls and says, hey, I've got a buyer for your listing at 123 Banana Street. And I'm like, really? It's the perfect buyer. Really? Okay. This house sat on top of 400. No lie, on the deck, your hair was a wind tunnel. I mean, your hair, I mean, I was like Beyonce, no lie. I mean, the noise was so loud inside and outside of the house. I was like, well, no wonder. And the house had been built before 400 had been put in. I'm telling the story. I get to the closing. The buyer is deaf. That video, so I didn't reveal that until the end. I'm telling everybody along through the story, this agent, I've got the perfect buyer for your listing. Oh, okay. Are you sure? Has she seen it? We go through the inspection. Are you sure she's seen it? She's the perfect buyer? Yeah, absolutely. Get to the closing and the lady is deaf. And that's the thing is they love this real-time story. Zillow isn't telling them that the lady is deaf. Zillow isn't telling them.
There's a house for everybody, listeners. There really is. Yeah.
I mean, Zillow isn't telling them they sold the wrong house. I mean, I talk about when I sold that wrong house on West Paces Ferry Road. The imperfection of me, number one, is one thing that people love. I'm not trying to be perfect. I've got this crazy hair. I'm 55 years old. I've made plenty of mistakes. I've used plenty of real estate lies, and I'm not trying to hide that. And so for me, it was very intentional because God knows there's skeletons in my closet that I wish nobody knew that I sold the wrong house. Somebody was going to find out about it because everybody in the real estate industry knew. So why not just pull that shit out and tell my own story and create my own narrative? So that's what I did. And it's, real estate according to Glennda. Inman says that I am Inman, which is a large real estate publication, whatever news channel, says that I'm the most recognized face and voice in real estate video.
One of the things that is counterintuitive to me is I will, traditionally look at be where your audience is. And if you're looking at your typical average age, high-end buyer, right? They're not the TikTokers. So talk to us a little bit about that kind of discrepancy of those listening being like, why would I spend my time on TikTok when they're just a bunch of poor Gen Zers, right? Like that's kind of how I think a lot of people look at that space.
So that is seriously such a ridiculous thought process. And I don't say that to be disrespectful. I say that to be totally in your face. Yep. Because the lady with the $3.5 million house found me on TikTok. The lady with the $3 million house found me on TikTok. The lady with the $5 million house follows me on Instagram. These people are finding me through social media. They find me refreshing. They find me relatable. The fact that I'll say a bad word and I'm not afraid to say a bad word adds to my authenticity. The fact I've got this big ass accent and this big hair, and my stars and everything, it all feeds into the brand. I'm at ADAC at this fancy, smancy, highbrow party. And I'm talking with someone and somebody comes up from behind me and says, it has to be you. I recognize your voice from TikTok. Now this guy's 43 years old, legacy wealth, gazillions of dollars. These guys works for the Hawks, owns the Hawks. These people, they're like, oh my gosh, I recognize you from TikTok. I recognize you from Instagram. You think that it's just kids dancing. It is not.
I love that. All right, listeners, did you hear that? I mean, talk about a punch in the face. I like it, Glennda. I like it.
Let me ask you a question, Glenn. Okay, so how much time do you spend doing that and then be able to run your team? I think you've got 5 people on your team. You're selling a bunch of real estate. I don't know if you know how many transactions you sold last year when you did 70 million. How do you keep up with the business that's coming through this great platform that you have created? How does that work on a day-to-day schedule? What's your daily routine?
I am very regimented, period. I film 1 day a month for 11 hours. And that's when we shoot all of the content.
Oh my gosh. How do you wait?
How can you keep up with? I mean, I'm exhausted after one podcast.
We have to pause it after 22 minutes of filming. 11 hours in a row.
So I shoot here at my home because I feel comfortable. I want to be able to change my star outfits. So I don't have 50 videos all in the same star sweater. And I feel this is my space. I feel comfortable. If I want coffee, if I want a bottled water, if I want whatever I want, it's at my fingertips. So they come, they set up at 7 a.m. I have a call to greatness every morning at 8 a.m.
What's the call to greatness?
It's a call to greatness. It's called the 5 a.m. call. It's run by Sharon Srivatsa, who is my business coach. So I do that from 8 to 8:10, 8:10 to 8:30. We frame out the morning. This is with my video team, and this is on the shoot day. So from 8:30 to 11:30, we shoot straight. 11:30 to 12:30, we break for lunch. 12:30 to 1, we frame out the afternoon. And then we come back and shoot from 1 to 7, 7:30, 7 something.
So how many videos are you getting in that 11 hours? Is there
So now I can pump out anywhere from 50 to 60 videos, just depending on my mindset.
I am so astounded, Glennda, and impressed. For those listening and think that you can just follow this script of doing 11 hours of filming, do not, like, it takes a very certain individual that can pull that off.
I'm intentional. I made a commitment. In my head, I knew exactly what I wanted to do. I wrote it down, and that is the roadmap to my success. And so again, though, I would just say, if you are an agent looking to start on video, don't be worried about how I do it. Figure out how you can be efficient and effective with your time, because this is the deal, is that if I shot, a few videos every day, that would take 2 or 3 hours, 4 hours out of my real estate day. I don't have that luxury. Like I make money selling houses. Bonneau knows I make a shit ton of money selling houses. So that's the thing, is like I've got to run my real estate business. So every morning I post my videos, typically between 6:30 and 9:30 a.m. I post on TikTok and Instagram religiously. I love to do an Instagram live video, get the juices rolling in the morning, chit chat with my fans, do a little ask me anything content. That brings them into my page, gets them looking at the videos. The average reel gets about 25 to 35,000 views a day. And then I meet with my team in the office. We, talk about what struggles we're having, what goals we have, and how I can help them. We do that. And then we all do our appointments. So I have a system and a process for everything. And I feel like that's been kind of the key to my success.
Yeah. Well,
Glennda, what's one thing you think listeners should do immediately after listening to this podcast with you?
This is what I implore the real estate agent community to do. You have never, ever before in your life had the opportunity to create the narrative, to control the narrative of your community like you do today. Video gives you an exponential reach that you never had before. Going to the country club, sending out mailers, going to the PTA meeting. You could never reach the amount of people that you can reach today by video in your community. And people don't want to listen to the national real estate news. It's a recession. It's a real estate downturn. You guys, we're in Atlanta. You know that's bullshit. You have the opportunity like nobody else to create and control the real estate narrative of your community. I implore you with every fiber of my body, if you take nothing away from this podcast, I want you to take away, I can control the narrative for the real estate market in my community by video today.
I mean, your business has doubled. I mean, it really has. I mean, you were doing your thing and doing a great job. And there was this moment that switched you from, being a great agent in Atlanta to a superstar. And I look at this and I say, look, it's this platform that you've created, and the sky's the limit with what you're going to do selling real estate.
I say I'm very, very truthful in everything that I say. So, when I came to you, it was really important to me to have the latitude to be myself.
Right.
I felt like that I was really kind of red taped in to a corporate culture that didn't really fit me. And one thing that really attracted me to Ansley was, number one, everybody is a high producer. Number two, they're great real estate agents, ethically, professionally. But number three, you embrace being different. And I am not Betsy Buckhead. I am Glennda Baker. I am selling $150,000 shit houses and $5 million mansions and everything in between. And so this is the deal, is I loved that about you. What happened was, simultaneously with making that change, I felt the ability to be myself on video. And you never once have harnessed my authenticity or my ability to be myself. And I appreciate that about you and the company.
Well, when I saw you on that panel, and the way that I've grown my business, listeners, is through a personal brand. And I wanted to brand Bonneau Ansley in Atlanta. And I did everything in my power to brand myself. And I did it differently than Glennda has, right? I did it through a lot of things that we've talked about through this podcast and in the book. Glennda, when we were talking on the phone before you came to Ansley, I talked about my personal brand, and you wanted to have this own personal brand. And we talked through how to do this. And next thing you know, God, you just did it, and you kept doing it. And you're just an inspiration to all of us here in our company at Christie's here in Atlanta, but you're an inspiration to agents all over the country that are listening to this.
The way that I've been able to increase my business is not only through videos for buyers and sellers, but there's this cult agent following. And yesterday we closed on a $400,000 house in Lawrenceville that was a referral from an agent that follows me on TikTok in northern Minnesota.
Wow.
I don't know him through Leading RE. I don't know him through Tom Ferry. I don't know him from Adam's House Cat. They literally follow me on TikTok and said, hey, here is John Smith. He wants to sell his house at 123 Banana Street. I follow you on TikTok. Here's the referral. And so that has really aided a lot, the agent to agent referral, in building my business. So now, Chris, go ahead.
All right. So a lot of people aren't as confident as you are, Glennda, in what they stand for. And what I mean by that is
they try to be somebody else too.
In my most recent book called Save Your Asks, I talk about the importance of personal branding in the process of sales. As you can see, I take it literally, right? Like part of my tattoos are my personal branding, my glasses, my Bronco matches. It's bright yellow in the front, right? And I look at your social media presence. I look at, the presence of stars. Of those listeners that just feel kind of stuck as one of many, right? Like they're just like everyone else. What is that process? Like, how do you suggest they take action in not only discovering, but really feeling empowered around standing for something that is differentiated?
So if you're trying to appeal to the masses, I think that you are probably going to end up over-promising, under-delivering, because at some point people are going to find out who you really are. For me, the stars kind of caught on. I didn't start with the stars. I started with like a black dress or a black top. It was that big ass video that said that I had the stars on. And there were so many comments about, I love the stars. I love the stars. I love the stars. I was like, okay, let's take it and run with it. And the thing about it is, interestingly enough, I don't think that I was really confident as a real estate agent until I was up against many agents for this big listing and I got it. But I would say if you're new or if you're struggling to find your voice or your brand, figure out what you love. What part of the business do you love? Do you love buyers? Do you love sellers? Do you love listings? What area do you love? You know, like I live in East Cobb. I love East Cobb. I love the restaurants. I love everything about it. So it's very easy for me to put my brand together with East Cobb. So for me, it's not only about the stars, although it's about the stars and about the hair and all the other crazy stuff that goes along with me. But I think that you've got to find what you love, because when you're comfortable and when you're certain and when you have clarity, you have confidence.
Well, what I love about what you've done, Glennda, is that I say that, you know, generally speaking, especially in the age of TikTok, right? I see it in my daughters, right? It's a lot of following and it's not a lot of leading. And I call it puppeteers and puppets, right? And most people are puppets. They like to take something that someone else has done. I would guess there are other real estate agents that are now wearing stars, right? And what I love about what you've done is that you stand for something that is truly differentiated and you are being the puppeteer versus the puppet. And I love that. I mean, tactically speaking, for those listeners, what I heard was just start experimenting, see what sticks, and make sure it's authentic to yourself.
You know, in 1992, I had to take this 75-hour post-license class. And in that class, I overheard an agent talking about an ad that Toyota had run. In this ad, it talked about Toyota, Atlanta sells Toyota. And it was Atlanta Toyota. It was an ad for Atlanta Toyota. And it was Atlanta sells Toyota. That's interesting. And I thought right there in that very moment in 1992, I remember it clear as day. John Barnes was the teacher. I said, because this agent had bought a Toyota Camry and it was in the trunk and that was what it said. And I thought, Glennda sells Atlanta. And I was like, I like that. And it's been GlenndaSellsAtlanta.com forever. I'm very strategic with my hashtags. If you look up Atlanta real estate on TikTok, 70% of the videos are mine. Everybody said, don't do Atlanta real estate. That's too big. You'll never, ever be noticed. If I hashtag my name, Glennda Baker, I hashtag Google Glennda because I wanted to train Google that when you put in Glennda, Glennda, that it was me. And now if you Google Glennda, everything is me. You don't even need to put in my last name. You don't need to put in realtor.
Madonna.
It's just Glennda. Exactly.
Oh
and so
God.
I think that strategically using hashtags, if you're trying to build a brand, your name is your brand, period. Your name is your brand. There is nobody else with your name, most likely. Glennda Baker, hashtag Glennda Baker. It also gives me the ability to see the cumulative views over all of the videos. That's how I know that I have 125 million views on TikTok. And like now I've started Glennda Talk, TOK, Glennda Graham, Glennda Tube. Those go directly to TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, because I want people to simultaneously think about my name with these platforms.
We took our top agents to Sea Island, Georgia for our, circle of excellence. You looked at me and you said, look, my mom has always wanted to come to Sea Island and I can't believe that I'm here. Your mom means a lot to you, right, Glennda?
Yeah.
She has always wanted you to be what you're doing right now. Take me back to kind of your childhood and high school and your relationship with your mom from an educational standpoint.
So I was raised by a single mother. My mom and I were super close. My mom loved real estate. Wandered the streets of Atlanta every weekend with my mom, aimlessly looking at the beautiful houses We lived in an apartment over in Decatur, and just, dreaming of one day home ownership. And I remember when my mom was able to buy this town home that was owned by a doctor at Emory, and he owner financed it for her, and how proud she was in that moment. And I think that is the root of my love to help people realize the dream of homeownership. I remember driving up to the Cloister at that event and thinking, my mom dreamed of staying at this hotel. And I get to stay here in this beautiful room. And I'm so thankful for the opportunities that you've given me and the latitude that you give me to be myself. I went to Druid Hills High School. I went to Fernbank Elementary. I was raised in the Decatur area, and I was bullied relentlessly through school. 2nd through 12th grade, I was the last kid picked on the playground. I barely got out of high school. I'm convinced that the only reason they graduated me was to get rid of my mother in the office. I never took the SAT. I never went to college. I never thought about going to college. I remember when I was modeling here in Atlanta, I was designing ladies' clothing. It was fun and interesting, but I was also selling ladies' shoes. I had 4 different jobs at that time. I was selling ladies' shoes, and the manager called me in and he said, "Hey, Glennda," he goes, "we've got a problem." And I said, "What's the problem?" And he goes, "Well, you're selling more shoes than the full-time people, and you're working part-time, and they're upset. I'm going to need to cut your hours." And I'm like, that makes absolutely no sense to me. He goes, "How are you selling all of these shoes?" And I said, "Well, if the shoe fits, buy it in every color." Haven't you ever heard that? And he was like, "Are you serious?" And I'm like, "Yeah." So instead, he gave me a raise. He kept me at my full 20 hours. I told my mom the story, and my mom said, "You should be selling something that's more expensive than ladies' shoes." She kept telling me, "You'd be a great real estate agent. You'd be a great real estate agent." The combined passions. And then I found something I was good at. Here's Hines Ward, MVP of the Super Bowl. Robin Meade, the longest running news anchor on national television ever. These people are looking to me for my counsel on what is their single largest investment. Glennda, who barely got out of high school. I am the Michael Jordan of real estate. I know that about myself, and I took that and I ran with it, and I never stopped. I think that belief that my mother had in me is ingrained so deeply, and all of the stars lined up, and real estate was my passion.
That's what I love about what we do, that you don't have to go to Harvard. You don't have to go to college. You don't have to finish high school. Look at Rob Thomas down in Jupiter. We're in the best industry, guys. There's no ceiling for what we can do. Find your brand, find your personal brand, go after it with everything you got. Glennda, you're a true inspiration. This has been a hell of a morning. Thank you so much.
Glennda.
I'm Bonneau Ansley.
And I'm Chris Tubb.
Signing off. Have a great day, guys.
Thank you, everyone.